and community Q&A session. We're going to see how this goes weekly. We've gotten several requests to have my mug in front of you on a weekly basis, answer your questions, tell you what's going on with D&D Beyond. So we're going to see how it goes. It's an experiment, and we will adjust if we need to. But yeah, really excited about this. We've got some things to talk about today. We will have plenty of time for questions. So if you have questions, you can start posting those in chat. Let's see. How do I get back over here? There we go. I think we're good. All right. So as I am off to do, we're going to talk about why we're here, where everybody's on the same page. We're going to talk about our latest updates, what's happening with D&D Beyond. We've had some official errata come through in the last month. That's very exciting. Beastmaster Rangers have been pretty excited about that in particular. A lot of clarifications. This was a pretty massive overhaul for clarification purposes. And so we've made those updates in D&D Beyond. We'll talk about that a little bit. We also just this morning, just before the dev update, we released prerequisites preferences. So we're going to take a look at that today as well. And there's some good things going on there and definitely some groundwork being laid for the future. We're going to talk about Ravnica Data just a little bit because that was an exciting release last month. We're starting to see some interesting trends. So we'll talk about races and backgrounds there. And then we'll talk about the short-term roadmap. We'll talk about our upcoming schedule, especially going into the US holidays. So kind of explain what's going to happen with D&D Beyond staff, as well as what's going on with our Twitch channel. So that's the plan for today. Ask the questions in chat. And actually, you don't have to wait until you're prompted. I think that I'm going to do things a little bit differently today and prompt maybe while we're talking through each section, where we can see if there are questions specifically about what I'm talking about at that time. So it makes it a little easier for context. But you can ask questions at any point, and we will collect anything that we don't cover during these sections at the end. And our moderators are going to be compiling those for me. So I think to help them out, just do preface your question with the word question, capital letters. Let them know that you're asking a question, and they will collect those for us. All right, where we are. Official errata updates. So the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual have been updated on D&D Beyond. This is the beauty of a digital platform. This is one of the things that I've been most excited about from the beginning. I remember in third, fourth edition, didn't do this in second edition because I didn't own any of those books. I borrowed them from folks. But in third and fourth edition, I used to take errata and print it out on sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper, put them into the book where they mattered. Then I came up with better systems in fourth edition to use kind of note cards and paste them with cut out little arrow cutouts to show me exactly where that errata mattered in the book. Really love that we're able to just keep current with the rules very painlessly and easily with D&D Beyond. So we have those updates in place. If you happen to see any discrepancies between what has been released, especially if you own, let's see, well, I don't have the books right here. If you own this beautiful, I don't know if this is going to focus or not, this beautiful core rule book set that has come out this month. If you see any discrepancies, let us know, and we will get those fixed very quickly on the forums. Let us know, as always. And the basic rules did see an update this week as well. Get a little more new artwork, and those rules are being changed to reflect the updates in the 3 core rule books as well. We are in progress on that, and so I imagine we'll have more to report next week on that. So I know that question's come up several times. Yes, we are updating the basic rules, and if the system's reference document sees updates, we will also incorporate those. Prerequisites preferences. Peter Piper picked a peck of prerequisites preferences. So right now we released this morning, and we have multi-class requirements and feats in place. And I'm going to jump over here and we are going to take a look at this. This is the first time I'm looking at this live. I hope it works. All right, so we're gonna just let's see, check out a character. We'll go with Briv Steelmarrow. I was playing him yesterday in the game. That was a lot of fun. All right, so let's see. Can I zoom in here? It might be better. I'm on a huge monitor. Okay, so with Briv, now we can, let's see, preferences. So we've organized the preferences a little bit differently over here as well. We're saving some space. And of course, a lot of this here in the sources section is going to be updated when uh, source management, but we're going to talk about a little later that we're changing the name of that to content management for for various reasons. But when that is in place, this is going to probably be supplanted over here in this area of the sources. But in the short term, we wanted to save some space, and we're kind of aggregating those together. All the other preferences that you've been used to are still here, but then you do see that use prerequisites is a new section here. And so we can allow or restrict choices based on rule prerequisites for feats and multi-class requirements right now. So up to current, unless I'm completely mistaken here, but I'm fairly certain that you were not able to multi-class into classes that you did not qualify for unless you did some kind of manual hack where you changed your ability score temporarily and then you got over there, chose the class, and then went back and manually changed your ability score. So what we're doing is, because Dungeons and Dragons is such a customizable game, we are making sure that we give you the option to either use these rules or not. By default, everyone is going to have this um, prerequisites preference turned on, where multi-class requirements will be enforced for the character. And this is primarily because for new players, this is a much better thing. But you are able to override that now. So if I tried to multi-class with Briv, and we will see, I actually may end up doing this at some point. But all right, so we're going to multi-class with him. We're going to add another class. You'll see right now that prerequisites, apparently they don't think that Briv can sing, and they don't think he's got any rhythm, so he can't be a bard with this preference checked. However, I hope this works. The developers are probably watching right now, crossing their fingers. No, they're very confident this is going to work. All right, so multi-class requirements, we checked that off. My hope, anyway, is that we can. Oh, look at this! Briv can now choose Bard, and he can be a Bard, and he has rhythm. Now, pay no attention to this unique class behind the curtain. That's admin stuff, test stuff going on. So no, they're not releasing a new class called parentheses unique anytime in the future. Please do not tweet at Jeremy Crawford asking what this parentheses unique class is going to be, because it's not a real class. All right, so same thing. We'll come back here to the sheet to see this one, but with feats, you can also go to check out feats. I am unfortunately only third level, and I am not a human variant, so I don't get a feat right off the bat. We'll see about next level what I'm going to do. Ability score increase is really tempting, though. I need that constitution, but I can manage the feats here. Right now, you're going to see that I have some unavailable feats here in the bottom right that are collected for me. So these are going to be feats that I do not qualify for. Now, there's some homebrew feats in here. So again, please don't start freaking out that there's some source that you don't know about yet that I am leaking. That's not remotely what's going on here. There are just some homebrew feats in here. But you can see that Elven Accuracy in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Briv is most decidedly not an elf, and so therefore this is not available for him to select even out of cycle. Now, if I go back to my preferences, I should be able, again, hopefully this works. Of course it's going to work. I should be able to come back here and see, I can see unavailable feats still. The difference being that we can add those. So if for whatever reason I spend a lot of time with dwarves and Briv's tough anyway, I could add that feat. I could get the Dwarven Fortitude feat. Let me remove that before I forget and play. But yeah, so the prerequisites, preferences, you can toggle all those back and forth now. And this is just the beginning. We do intend to add prerequisites to other types of elements in the game. Magic items makes a lot of sense. We're going to keep adding this over time because this system is now in place. You also can utilize this on your own homebrew creations using the prerequisites section that actually has been active and live. You could add those prerequisites, but they weren't actually doing anything for feats. But you can do that in homebrew now as well. All right, we'll come back here. And finally, we have a new Twitch schedule, which we are participating in right now. And so we've got Todd Talks is the Monday show. So every Monday, barring the holidays that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but every Monday, Todd is going to get on and talk with, interview, kind of panel style, um, different people in the D&D community, very similar to what we were doing on Wednesdays before. The only difference is I am stepping out of that because time is a tough thing for me. So I'm stepping out of the interview and letting Todd do his thing, and it's going to be great. This last week's episode was incredible with Chris Perkins, Jerry Holkins, and Amy Vorpal. It's going to be a lot of fun for that going forward. So check that out on Mondays. And I believe that is, I'm trying to think Pacific time. So that's 1 p.m. Pacific time on those Mondays. And then Wednesdays, we have Heroes of the Veil. It is an exciting new live show, live play session with Dungeon Master Mike Merles. We had our first episode yesterday. Go check that out if you missed it. It's a really fun crew, a lot of fun to play with these folks. So check that out at on Wednesdays at, let's see, what is the time there. I have to do the timeline conversions, time zone conversions all the time. Not timeline conversions, but that would be pretty exciting too. So time zone conversion to, that is 2 p.m. Pacific. And then finally, the dev update, what we're doing right now on Thursday mornings at, and if you can't tell with the schedule, we're trying to distribute the schedule a little bit across some of the other parts of the day where we can. I think some folks in Australia are pretty happy that this is happening at this time as opposed to later in our afternoon. So we're trying to experiment with some of those things to see how that goes too. But the new schedule is in place. And so going forward for the next several weeks, this is what you're going to see. So tune in. So I'm going to actually take a break right here for just a second and see if there are any questions about Errata or the prerequisites or the new Twitch schedule. Do we have anything from chat yet? Let's see. Anything? All right. I don't see anything for. Oh, okay. We've got this question. We'll go with this. This is from Not Real Dan. I'm sorry that you're not real, Dan. Or maybe you like that. Maybe you enjoy that. All right. We've got, can the dev roadmap be posted somewhere and updated from time to time? A copy paste from Adam's presentation into a pinned forum post would be fine. Having it somewhere in text would be a plus and save a lot of unnecessary forum posts asking the same questions over and over. Oh, not real, Dan. I admire your optimism that us doing that would really eliminate the forum post of people asking the same question over and over. Again, I admire your optimism. I doubt it would achieve that goal. However, that doesn't mean that putting the roadmap into some kind of textual format is a bad idea. And this is something that we are working on currently, and we're actually hoping to do something better than just a forum post. So we do intend, as we roll into next year, to have probably again, the technology might end up being different because we are evaluating several options for this, but we will likely have a public Trello board that you'll be able to see development that's in progress, development that is upcoming, and so on. So that is something that we are going to continue to provide as much transparency as we possibly can about that. And so we do see that we would, get into that as we go into next year. So then we have another question here. Backdoor shady dealer. Wow. Well, the usernames are really something. I like it. Was D&D Beyond involved with the errata process at all with Wizards? So that's a really, really big question. No, we were not involved in anything that had to do with the rules development or clarification. So we're not involved in those decisions. We have been involved before in some new development and design that Wizards of the Coast is doing, where they might ask questions occasionally about, if we had something work like this, is this going to cause major problems for you guys from a development standpoint? So we do get into those discussions occasionally, but for the errata itself, no, this is something that Jeremy Crawford and the team, have shepherded the entire way. We definitely were made aware that that was coming, and we were able to prep and plan and have resources in place and ready to make those changes as quickly and as early as we could. All right. Anything else? All right. We'll move on from there. All right. So where we're going, I've actually started changing. I've changed the format of the dev update just a little bit. We're going to talk about all the dev update stuff first. Then we're going to talk about data a little bit again to kind of make it to where we can ask some questions about data if we want to, and then we are leaving the questions for the end. So, development in progress. If this was a public Trello board and you were viewing the roadmap, this would be in the work in progress column of that. And it would be saying that currently we are working on site navigation. Now, that when I say we're working on that, we haven't actually done a ton with that in the last couple of weeks before the Ravnica release because we had to, shift some things around to prepare for that. But this is something that has started. It's something that we're in the middle of, and we don't have an ETA for it yet, but we are working on this. I'm excited. Last month, we showed you kind of a preview of how that's looking, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be great. We have started development, so this is in officially in progress. So it's moved over to that column for our encounter builder. Really excited about this. I want to temper some expectations in the community out there, though, that we have started development, but a lot of this is getting the framework in place, getting the foundation laid for everything that we're going to do. And our plan is that we are, as I've explained before, I'm excited about our approach with the encounter builder because we're starting to get into some territory that actually hasn't been explored that much. There have been a couple of community provided tools for encounter building in the past, but they have been, there's been very few of them. And so we are really taking a step back and asking the questions at the root of what the problem statement is for a dungeon master. And so we're coming back to, as a dungeon master, I want to be able to, and we're filling in all those blanks about what a dungeon master needs to best craft encounters. And so that's what we're trying to put together for this encounter builder. So we're not trying to just duplicate something that's come before. We're trying to solve the problem the best possible way. And one of the best ways that we're going to do that is to be able to solicit your feedback and build it based on what we're seeing the community needs. And so our plan for that is to get kind of the what I'm calling the floor plan of the encounter builder, and kind of this first very rough pass of what we think could work based on our best hypotheses. And then we're going to let subscribers to D&D Beyond, because We know that a subscriber has a very vested interest in the platform. We know that we're not going to just simply get throwaway accounts coming in and providing feedback that aren't actually invested in the platform. So if you're a subscriber, we're going to offer you the ability to join the alpha for the encounter builder. You're going to be able to provide feedback. We intend to really process that feedback very quickly. And then once we have that feedback going, we hope that we're able to really iterate from a development perspective and have, I think we're even talking, weekly or every 2 week releases where we're really putting that out there for the community to consume and for the community to continue to give feedback. So, a really good example that I think will allow this to hit home with all of you out there is for the digital character sheet. We were marching towards launch for D&D Beyond, and this was a massive lift, taking D&D Beyond from nothing to making it into something that would matter for the community. In those initial steps, we knew that we needed to provide a character builder and a digital character sheet. The thing that we could not adequately prove out about that is, what does the community really need for this? And so we knew that we would never be able to hit that the first time, and so we put out what we thought was something that could be usable. We got millions of points of feedback about that, and then we immediately came back and started working on what became this character sheet revamp. I think that the character sheet revamp has really brought us into a really good place with the digital character sheet, and that's an example of what we're talking about with the encounter builder. Is we would prefer with it to come out initially and say, hey guys, we're going to do the best we can to cover the needs of the community with this tool. But we know that there are going to be some gaps in what our experiences are as players and dungeon masters, and what the millions of people out there that could be using this tool might need to see. And so we're really going to be crowdsourcing the feedback and trying to get this to be built to community spec. And so again, this is going to be a little bit of an experiment for us, but we're really excited about it. I think that it's going to be a great way to get that feedback early and allow us to be very agile about incorporating that feedback instead of having to go back and rewrite and redo something. But no news yet on exactly when those alpha invites will go out, but if you are a subscriber, you'll get an invite. You'll be able to jump in and contribute to the encounter builder being built. And then finally, in progress development, we have some platform health and maintenance that typically for our company around December, November into December, we have winter cleaning. So we come in and we try to cover nagging but maybe non-prioritized bugs. We really need to just try to clean up our code base the best that we possibly can. And of course, we're doing this throughout the year as well, and that's the intent. But we do like to focus on it, especially at the end of the year, because we need to make sure that tech debt is not accumulating at a rate that we're going to end up harming the community, and that we're not going to be able to scale something appropriately. So there is a lot of development going on right now for that, and that's something that you guys aren't going to necessarily see the benefits of very clearly, but we obviously know that the benefits are very great for this, and so a good bit of effort is going into that between now and the end of the year. So then, upcoming development, and I can tell you, to manage everyone's expectations, especially where we are in the year here, because we're getting very close to December, right? This is like the 27th or no, 29th. Yeah. So today's the 29th of November. And all of the things that are in this upcoming development bucket, you are not going to see those released this year. I'm going to go in and tell you that for absolute sure. You're not going to see these things released this year, but these are things that are next on the list, that as we come back in 2019 from this holiday break, these are the things that are going to be hitting the in progress after these other things, start to move out of it. So content management. We were calling this source management, but we're changing that to content management because of the way it interacts with campaign content sharing. And when we really took a step back and looked at what you were going to be able to do with this system, at least long term, initially, you're going to be managing just the sources. So it's going to happen at the player handbook level or the Xanathar's Guide to Everything level. But as we get further into this, you're going to be able to whitelist or blacklist specific elements within those sources. So it really is just a comprehensive way to manage all the content that's available to you on D&D Beyond. So content management is upcoming, and that's almost, I'm going to say almost in progress, but it kind of depends on what you call development, what you call the design or conceptualization phase. But a lot of conceptualization's going on here. It's I'm really impressed with what we're seeing from an interface perspective, because this is a pretty complicated problem of how to make this user experience a good one for this kind of, to be honest, kind of boring activity. And so we're working on that. We're going to get into that next year. Accessibility updates, we've talked about that. We're going to continue to try to place some focus there. Character builder overhaul, this is the thing that is getting rid of the character builder after initial character creation. So we're excited about that. And that's kind of the next big thing for the characters product team. And then the character sheet in mobile beta. So that is definitely something that we're working on, something that we're is a very high priority for us. And we're trying to get that into the mobile beta. Let's stop there and see if we have any questions specifically about anything that I've talked about with the short-term roadmap. All right. Anything? All right. Um, okay, so these are kind of development related questions, and we'll go with this. Tweeter of Vecna. Hello again. What are your thoughts on developing a virtual tabletop within D&D Beyond? We do not currently have that on our short-term roadmap. Saber Runner question: any update on freeform data entry for adding personal adventures with D&D Beyond functionality? So I think this is almost like a homebrew adventure kind of question. Are you going to be able to possibly create adventures that look like what we have in D&D Beyond? That is your own personal thing. I think that that's something that we certainly could get into. It's not on the short-term roadmap, but it is something that we have on the list, and I imagine we will see that one of these days. Yes. Lord Aowood, any date for the character sheet in the app? No, I don't give dates. I'm afraid you're going to be unsatisfied with any question that has anything to do with a date. But as I just shared, it is a priority for us, and it is something that is important, and we're going to be working on it. Let's see. Thai SQL. Will the encounter builder include automatic CR calculations for the encounter, including estimated deadliness based on selected party? Yes. What you're listing there would be minimum requirements. We absolutely would cover those, plus a good bit more. But yes, that would be incorporated. Kmander, CR scaling for monsters in the encounter builder like the old 4E1 had. So to try to just be clear about what you're asking here, I think that what you're referring to is scaling the monster itself. That will not be part of this initial release for what we're doing with encounters. It will, however, be a big part and kind of the really cool part of the monster builder that will be following the encounter builder. So yes, that is going to be a big part of that. We're excited about that. We will follow getting the encounter builder into a public release state by then starting development on this monster builder. Let's see, Onyx GVR. Is that alpha access only for DM subscribers? Our current plan, and this has not been completely finalized, but our current plan is to open this to any type of subscriber, hero or master. Silver Wolf NL, any item management plans, as in players being able to trade items from one character to the other? Yes, definitely. We are looking for ways to do kind of this equipment and inventory enhancements. And if you look at our internal documents and what's on the roadmap for 2019, this is definitely there. Just taking a look at bags and containers and the ability to have party inventory like bags of holding, the ability to trade potentially between players, even the ability to for a DM. And again, I don't know what's going to get in or out in 2019. So cool the jets out there. But we even want to make it to where a dungeon master could set up shops and merchants that equipment and gear could be purchased from. All right, let's see. Grand Pyromania. Would it be possible to have DDB auto build an encounter from a campaign that you've purchased? Yes. I won't finish the rest of the question. But yes, the idea is that if you have purchased any, we'll just go with adventure. If you've purchased Dragon Heist, well, maybe I'll go with an older one where I don't accidentally do a spoiler. If you have purchased Rise of Tiamat, then yes, the encounter with spoilers all around. So I won't get into just spoilers, but yes, all the encounters that you could possibly have within that book would already be created. And they would be just something that you could access immediately without you having to build those. Let's see. Smotnud. For content management, will DMs be able to exclude things for players but keep them available to the DM? Yes. So if you are, the way that this will take shape initially is this will all be within the context of a campaign. And so a dungeon master will still have access to everything within that campaign. But then whatever settings are marked within content management to exclude a source, for instance, perhaps you don't want Loxodons in the Forgotten Realms. And if that's the case, then you can go in and fairly easily set it to where Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica is not an option for players within the campaign. But if you, as the dungeon master, wanted to use a Loxodon as an NPC, you could continue to do that. All right, let's see. Anything else? Um, Duffio987, how do the items on the short-term roadmap affect the progress toward the digital DM screen? Okay, well, so anything on the short-term roadmap is what we are working on now or next. DM screen is kind of dangling right on the edge of that. So I imagine early next year, you'll start seeing the DM screen be something talked about in the upcoming development. But yes, those things impact it because we're doing those things first, and then we're going to get to that. But the DM screen is something that we're really excited about. It's something that I personally can't wait for, and so I feel very confident that we're going to see that next year. All right. Maybe that's about it for now. How are we doing on time? All right, we're doing pretty good. All right, let's talk about the upcoming schedule, especially as we go into the holidays. So for December, we have PAX Unplugged in Philly. And actually, I am leaving immediately from here, going to the airport to get to Philadelphia for PAX Unplugged. Really looking forward to this show. If you happen to be attending, you're probably not watching right now, but if you happen to be attending, then definitely say hi to any of the D&D Beyond staff that you see there. We are going to be in the Adventures League area. The Roll Initiative is kind of hosting that this year at Unplugged. Last year, I remember in the Adventures League area, there were 2 or 3 hour long lines that you had to wait to play Adventures League. So we're kind of coming in, trying to assist with that. The area has been expanded pretty dramatically. We're hoping that lines are not as much of an issue this year, but either way, there will be a character creation station there that you can print out characters using DDB. Should be a lot of fun. So, you can use a pre-made, or if you want something a little more personalized, you can go to that station and do that for the AL play area. And then on Saturday of Unplugged, we have Role Play Roulette. DM Kate Welch is going to be taking. Let's see who all is in this cast. It's Jeremy Crawford, Amy Falcone, Lauren Urban, Todd Kenrick, myself, and I'm forgetting. Oh, Satine Phoenix. Yeah. So all of us are going to be playing a pretty short session, but we are using the randomized feature in D&D Beyond. And if you've ever used that, you can get some really interesting results because it is truly random. So we're going to use the randomizer in D&D Beyond for everyone's character, and everyone's going to pick up the iPad that, we're going to kind of shuffle iPads. You pick up an iPad, and that's going to be the character that you play for that session. Should be a hoot. So you guys, if you're not at the show, then you can check that out on Twitch. It's 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. You can check that out on the slash Penny Arcade Twitch channel. And then the Twitch schedule, we are going to be taking a holiday break. So we've got regular programming through December the 13th. So that would be the final Thursday, which is a dev update for 2018 here. So there are 2 more episodes of each of our 3 shows, is basically what that breaks down to. And then we're going to return the week of January the 7th. So on the 7th, we'll have a Todd Talks, and then on the 9th, we'll have Heroes of the Veil, and on the 10th, we'll have our first dev update of 2019. So just keep that in mind. We also, from that perspective, it's not just the Twitch schedule. This is a time that we value as a company quite a bit to allow our teams to recharge batteries. I am looking forward to recharging my battery a bit and being able to, put the phone down and not worry about Slack notifying me about 50 things at once. So all that's going to happen in December, about the middle of December through the new year. A lot of time to unplug for all the teams. So you're not going to be seeing you'll see some original content coming out during that time on the website, some articles and videos, but those are things that have been made ahead of time. Social media is going to slow down dramatically. We're going to be taking those couple of weeks to really have a really good break. I hope that all of you get the opportunity, if that's possible, to do that. And I do wish everyone happy holidays. All right. Any questions on the schedule? Let's see. I don't know if we have any there. So I can probably move on to the really important thing here that everyone loves. We give away a legendary bundle. All right, we'll give away a legendary bundle, but we have to have you type something in the chat area here. It doesn't matter what you type, but let us know that you exist in chat, and then we are going to give this away. I have to talk and kind of just yak for a little bit to make sure that I am compensating for the stream delay, but I think we are probably in a good place at this point in time. We're going to give this away in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Temech 6059. Is that right? Temech 6059. Congratulations. All right, so you will be receiving a legendary bundle. Like I said, I got to run to an airport, but I'm going to do my best to hand this off. And you'll be contacted when that bundle is awarded to you at some point after the show. Definitely before a day passes, you will have access to the legendary bundle. Congrats on that. What is next? Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about Data. So Ravnica. So I thought it would be interesting to look at what was going on and how things were shaping up with this really exciting new thing that is happening with Dungeons and Dragons. We have Magic the Gathering lore and concepts coming to D&D for the first time in a published source, and so that's pretty exciting. And since Ravnica has been released, this is the distribution that we're seeing for the Ravnica races. So you see Minotaurs are barely edging out the Loxodons. And so I really, really like to think about I like to think about Minotaurs and Loxodons just kind of going at it here and vying for dominance in this little mock battle here. But yeah, you see that all of these races, I can tell you, we don't have a chart for it, but the distribution compared to some of the other races, very very strong. So the flavor of what these Magic the Gathering races in Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica are supplying, I think, has really resonated with the community, and people are choosing these and making them a focal point of their campaign set in Ravnica so far. So that would definitely be the intent and the idea, and I think we're seeing that with the data. So then we also have the Ravnica guild background. So we don't have an incredibly great way to figure out which guild is the most popular in Ravnica. That would probably be better served because you can take other backgrounds other than the different guild backgrounds that are supplied. So you could still belong to a guild and be an acolyte or be a folk hero or whatever. But this is about the best that we could approximate on the popularity of the different guilds, or at least the different guild backgrounds. And you see Boros and Izzet. I like Izzet. This is a really, really exciting thing for I am not a huge Magic player. When Magic was really coming along, I was a 10-year-old kid that was too poor to buy cards. But so I missed out on a lot of that in my childhood. But after digging into Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, I really really love the lore, and I love the guild structure and setup. And I do think that Izzet was kind of at the top of my list. Of what I liked the most. And so yeah, you see that Orzhov is not being represented much by the representatives, but yeah, Boros edging out Izzet, and this is the results. I wanted to also jump in on the character sheet again here and kind of talk through some of the options that if you pre-ordered Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, and this is also a little bit of a primer for some folks that are unaware of this functionality in D&D Beyond. We haven't done a lot to really promote this or share this up to this point, but I thought I would demonstrate this for folks that you do have a lot of customization options. You can see on my character sheet, for instance, that I have some special stuff going on. I mean, I'm in charge. I can make some things happen, right? So I have some special things for Briv going on here. But you do have access to a lot of this stuff too. And these are all things that if I have access to it, it's something you might have access to in the future also. And so you can change your frames here. Now, please pay no attention. Oh, I think that Squalls, one of our developers, is going to be so embarrassed about this. He's like, why did you click on that? But right now, because of some permissions that we have, for admins, you're going to see these frames come in twice, duplicated here. But of course, you guys never see that, so it's not a priority for us to fix. But as you come in here, you do have options for portrait frames, especially if you pre-order, you have these options for portrait frames coming through. So one thing that you are going to start to see is we will give others, like we'll give access to the public for some of these frames after some set period of time. So that is something that we are going to make available in the future. But on the topic of guilds, you can come in if you pre-ordered Ravnica and choose. And you see up here around Briv's portrait that we have this nice guild representation of whichever guild you perhaps belong to in the Ravnica setting. For Dungeon of the Mad Mage, you also have some interesting things going on here. You've got Dyson Logos kind of room layout. I really love the maps. You can definitely put me in the camp that loves the maps that are coming out in Dragon Heist and Dungeon of the Mad Mage and in Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. I love the old school feel to that. So you got frames. I don't even know about this one. I'm not sure who made the decision. I guess it was ultimately me to put that in there, but we got a spider thing. We have some animated ones too, if you were not aware of this. So if you pre-ordered Xanathar, we had some animation going on. You see some of the eyes closing on the character frame there, and then he kind of gives you the mug eye for a little bit too. So we're going to continue to do a lot of these customization elements, and I imagine at some point in the future we will provide more and more of these, and there will be other ways for you to access these to customize your sheets. But I wanted to kind of let people know that we have that option. You also can change your backdrop. So Briv is a fighter. I could change this to the fighter backdrop, and you'll see this update here. You can change to something from Xanathar if you pre-ordered there. I really like some of the art in Xanathars, and so you can change your backdrop to that, and you get these through the pre-order bonuses. If you really love Troll Skull, you can do that. Or here's some Waterdeep stuff. Now it's going to look pretty bad on my gigantic monitor in the way that I'm zoomed in right now, but just kind of showing you that these options exist. So for Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, you've got some of the precincts that you can get into. And then I also really like, again, Dyson Logos take on one of the Underdark maps, and you can do that. It's a little bit busy, but it might be worth it. As cool as it is, there's the yawning portal, and then for me, I have a little special one there. We'll see about getting that out to the public at some point there too, that's showing the map of the Nintir Vale. So those are some things that are available and possible within the character sheet, and especially with the guild connection here. I wanted to stop and point that out for folks. Do we have any questions about this data, or any requests for data in the future? If I can ask the moderators to possibly like preface that with capital DATA data, and then we can even start collecting some of those, and we'll see what we can do. Agent Prometheus, how do you determine if a character is being played? It's a really good question, and Dungeons and Dragons is a game that, even with a digital tool set, it's not like World of Warcraft where you can do a slash played and see how many hours are being played and that kind of thing. But what we try to do is we have a few points of data that we hypothesize are kind of the best that we can do as far as determining that. So if you're just creating characters and you're just trying out builds, it is very unlikely that you're updating your hit points. There's not a lot of reason to do that. So we try to look at things like that. We try to look at our short rests and long rests being taken. So we look at several points of data like that that seem to indicate play, as opposed to just theory crafting or just playing around. So that's how we have attempted to do that. Another one from Agent Prometheus: for easier data collection, do you plan on implementing a toggle for players to flag a character as being used in a campaign? So I think this actually gets to another problem than what you're actually asking, which, because you're saying that a campaign might have a lot of characters and not all of those are being played and only certain ones are being played. A better solution, and possibly a better problem that we would solve there and that we intend to solve, is to allow better organization, not only in the My Characters section, but also the campaign section, and allow dungeon masters to do things like designate something as a non-player character, and that to possibly show up in an entirely different section that players couldn't even see unless the DM chose for them to. That kind of thing is really what we're going to do with that to make that much clearer for people playing and the dungeon master. Justin T. Bassett, players who play multiple characters, do they keep the same class or race? Players who play multiple characters, do they keep the same class or race? I'm afraid I'm not understanding that one. If I'm missing something there, try to help me out. Let's see. What is the average lifespan of a character being played? Um, that's a request. I don't know that information off the top of my head for sure, but that's a request, and we can add that to the list, and we can see. A lot of these characters are going to be in use for a year or two, which is about as long as D&D has been around. And then the newer characters, we're not going to have a lot of data for yet because they're new players coming in and they just started. But we'll see what we can do about trying to find out the answer to that. Backdoor Shady Dealer, was there a significant increase in traffic that surprised you when Ravnica came out? Um, okay, that's so we experienced higher traffic than we anticipated when Ravnica came out, but it is very difficult for us to pinpoint that down to Ravnica because it was also the first time that we have ever had two published books come out on the same day. So we had Waterdeep, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, and we actually found that the site had a couple of pretty minor hiccups. It got up, really really quickly, and a lot of that had to do with a lot of people downloading those sources on the mobile app all at the same time, and so that was a little unanticipated by us. We addressed it really really quickly going forward. We've got stuff that's in place that's going to prevent that. But yeah, it's hard to tell how much of that was just Ravnica versus the unique situation of having two books happen at the same time. Let's see. C. Kane, are the custom backdrops only ever going to be available for people who don't pre-order? So as I was saying, we are looking at some other ways for people to be able to access frames and backdrops, and it's very likely that we will have other ways for you to acquire those. I mean, possibly even things like number of forum post unlocking special frames. We've got this entire system that we would like to put in place at some point in time. We're just not there yet. Let's see. This is a data request. What is the distribution of the size of campaigns? That's a good question, and we'll add that to the list that we'll see. Um, Oh, okay. All right. I got a little clarification, I feel like, on the earlier question about do players tend to play numerous characters with the same class race combo, or do they play different things? That makes sense. So for me, I typically enjoy melee oriented characters, for instance. And so I'm going to play fighters, barbarians, paladins, that kind of thing typically, and so we could look into that data. I definitely don't have it, right here available, but that's something else we can add to the list. Tinkle Crusher, I love that name too. Popular magic items, magic item types. We have done a little bit of that in the past, and so we certainly could add that to the list for potentially doing some kind of update in the weeks to come. Fatui, it would be nice to collect data on how many characters die compared to how many are on the site. To do this, a feature to mark a character dead and put it in an archive would be needed. Could that be implemented? Um, yeah, we've talked before about potentially like retiring characters in some way, whether that's through death or through, just uh, buying a tavern like Durnan did with the Yawning Portal. But yeah, so that's kind of a separate thing about whether we can retire or kind of kill off and keep dead characters. But yeah, it would be very difficult as things stand right now for us to be able to tell what that ratio is between dead and alive, because we don't have that data point. Not real Dan question: can we someday upload our own custom backdrops? I don't know, but it's something that we're thinking through and we're checking into. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's see. Let's come back over here. Let's give away another legendary bundle. Need to type something in the chat. Doesn't have to be anything in particular, but you got to type something in the chat. If you watched the show yesterday, you can, tell me how much you loved Briv the Bold. You got to say, if you say something about no, I'm just joking. We can't be favorites. All right. Yeah, type something in the chat. And I think I've delayed long enough. We're going to give this away in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tofu Cleaver. Congratulations. Tofu Cleaver. Congrats. You it's what I would do with tofu too. All right, so you win the legendary bundle, and we are going to award that at some point after the show. Congrats, Tofu Cleaver. All right. General Q&A. Have I missed Mr. Source, my moderator emeritus right now? Have I missed any questions along the way? If so, he's frantically copying and pasting probably right now. But if you have any other generic questions, feel free to ask those. We've got about 3 minutes, it looks like. And then I have got to get to the airport before that plane leaves me. All right, let's see. Illuminated INC, or no, yeah, Illuminated Incorporated, maybe. Any chance of getting a DM screen combat tracker? Yes, a very good chance. It is on the roadmap. I hope we can get into that stuff in 2019. Dagobah 46, what was the discussion behind having skills separate from ability scores, saving throws in the browser character sheet for phones? Okay, so I think this is just a question. Primarily, I think, because in what we saw with the feedback, that was the prevailing thought, because skills were so large. Like the area for skills is so large, and there's so many of them. People tended to like to have that in one place. If that's not the case, we would love to hear the feedback, and we can revisit. But especially when you condense down to mobile, there are some considerations that you have to give for page length and scroll, and how much you're scrolling. And that was very likely what motivated that decision. Let's see. What else here? It's scrolling so fast. Murder Hobo Music. It's nice. Music for the murder hobos. Is encumbrance weight adjustment, i.e., the old bag of holding, anywhere on the roadmap? Yes. Part of that equipment revamp that I was talking about earlier that we hope to get to next year. Tinkle Crusher. Any chance of things like the ability to roll on random loot tables, or the ability to randomly select a magic item based on some criteria? Since we already have all the magic items in the system, a select random button on the items page would be awesome. Yes, definitely have plans to do this. We would love to do this for, I don't know how much I want to get into that yet. We're talking about doing all of that with the encounter builder. And let me rephrase: we will do it with the encounter builder. Be able to, randomly put together parcels and treasure for monsters. Not sure when that's going to come in the phasing of encounter builder, but it is something we're going to do. We also would love to do this for virtually every table that is a roll-on table in the compendium or anywhere else. There's some groundwork we would have to do to get the data prepared for us to be able to do something like that, but it is something that is on the list. Joagro, any plans on doing DM tools, and what do you think should be in it? That is a huge question that I'm going to not answer at the moment because we're out of time. But yes, we do have plenty of DM tools on the roadmap. Really, really excited about it. Thank you all for joining me for today's dev update. Join me next week and we'll be back again talking. So if you didn't get your question answered today, then by all means, let's get it answered next week, and come back and join us for this new Twitch schedule with Todd Talks on Mondays, Heroes of the Veil on Wednesdays, and the Dev Update on Thursdays. Thanks a lot for joining. Got to go get to the airport. See you guys later. Thanks.